Should we speak into it?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming. As you all know, I am Lester Thomas, Administrator for Wayne County Community Corrections. Actually, is that co-chair? I'll be chairing the meeting today, so we're going to officially call the meeting into order. And we will have a roll call.
Chief Judge Pro Tem Larry Williams has requested an excuse. Pastor Eddie Williams Jr. Absent. Deputy Chief Tiffany Stewart. Andrea Smith. Janella Robinson. Judge Donald Knapp. Norris Howard.
Present.
Armand Harris. Chief Robert Dunlop is temporarily excused. Sam Sharikian. Paul Bruno. Chief Judge Pro Tem David Braxton. And Commissioner Elmer Clark Coleman has requested an excuse. We have a quorum present.
Thank you.
Next item, item B, remarks from our Vice Chair.
Yeah. Just real quick, before we really get into the agenda, there are two things that I just want you all to consider. The first thing is each one of you should have copies of 2 resumes. We have 2 slots available on the Community Corrections Advisory Board that needs to be filled. One is for media and the other one is, I believe, is workforce development. You have resumes for both of those positions, and we're in the process of doing interviews. So hopefully at our next meeting, they will be filled. So I just wanted you all to know that. So we will have a full board if those 2 positions are filled. Secondly, in situations like this, I discussed it with our transition services director, Ebony McCann, about possibly having someone to actually be a vice chair or co-chair just in case something happens and I'm not available or Commissioner Clark is not available, that we can continue to move. So if any one of you all would be interested in being that person, just send me an email and we can facilitate that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Moving on to item C, approval of the March 12, 2025 meeting minutes.
I have a motion to approve the March 12th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. The approval of the March 12th, 2025 meetings minutes have been approved.
Moving on to item D, unfinished business. There is none listed. Moving on to item E, under new business, number 1, review and approval of the fiscal year 2025 quarterly report.
Okay, thank you. Again, you should have our quarterly report for fiscal year 2025 in front of you. It's from January 1st until March 31st. It includes the real long piece of paper. And that's what basically I want you to turn to so I can highlight some things. And I'll do a quick summary of everything that we presented to the Michigan Department of Corrections. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. On the second page, one of the things we had talked about previously about when we dealt with the fiscal year 2025 budget, which was reasonably reduced, was our utilization rate. And that's one of the things that we have been really trying to increase. And if you look at the actual percentage, I'm going to go down to the bottom one. It's the actual percentage and expenses through the report period. That's almost second from the bottom. And if you notice, basically everyone is all at 50% in 6 months. Lake Ridge is 47%. That's roughly 3% off. Our domestic violence jail is 62%. Domestic violence community is 58%. Outpatient services, DDJR is roughly 2% off, which is 48%. GPS is at 67% of funding spent. Apprehension is already over 100%. We've actually in the process of moving some money to cover that expense for money that has not been spent. And then 5-day housing is at 45%. Now you see the 0% at Real Solutions because that we're still in the process of getting that contract in front of the full board, which we anticipate not this meeting because I believe they're still in Mackinac Island. So I believe it'll be on the next one, and then we'll be able to start that violence prevention contract that we're all so excited about. And then you see the Black Family Development Inc. is at 30%. So basically what I'm saying is basically almost everyone is at 50% where we need to be because that's critical for our funding because we don't want Michigan Department of Corrections to lower our budget any. And actually, once we get to the fiscal year 2026 application, you'll see that we actually ask for more monies because as a result of this, okay? And then if you look at the third page, I'm sorry, you'll see just some highlights of what we talked about Q2, utilization rate continuing an upward trend, which we're excited about. We talked about continuing to partner with Wayne County classification team and meeting with our community partners to make sure that we are basically doing everything that we can to make sure our utilization rate continues. We've effectively, we're utilizing a qualitative analyst through our agency that will help us in doing data-driven information and stats that will basically help us know what we need to focus on and what's working and what's not working. We've had, if you see, go to 2, we've had meetings with people in the community, and we're excited that I recently had a meeting with the Defender Support Unit, Indigent Defense Services, which was very informative, and we believe that they can be a great asset as we continue our upward trend of utilization. So that highlights our Q2 report, and I'll open it up for any questions or discussions at this time.
I have one. In number 1, the last sentence where you're anticipating the violence prevention program to be launched,
Yes.
is there an expected launch date?
Well, once it's approved by commission, which we believe will be at the next full commission,
So
it'll
that'll
be
be
immediate.
later on in May?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. No, actually, probably in June.
June?
Probably in June, because we're already at the end of May. So it'll probably be in June that we basically will be implementing that program.
Okay, and then just in number 2, as I was reading through, collaboration was misspelled.
Okay.
That was it.
All right. Any other questions or comments or anything? They going once, going twice. Well, entertain a motion to approve this Q2 report. We have a motion and a second to approve this quarterly report for Q2, January 1st through March 31st, 2025. Any questions, discussions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The fiscal year 2025 Q2 report has been approved. We'll move on now to our fiscal year 2026 grant application. That is the 32-page document that you all have. And it is a lot of information, so I believe I highlighted something in the email, and I will highlight some things regarding the breakdown of this application, and then we will open it up for any discussions or dialogue. As stated earlier, last year, fiscal year 2025, we were approved for $1,365,000. This particular grant application, we're requesting $1,517,329.76. When you look at our breakdown, the breakdown for the individual programs, Lake Ridge Village, which is cognitive behavior therapy, will be $145,000. Our jail-based program, $50,000. Community, that's domestic violence, I'm sorry, community, $125,000. Drunk driving, $45,000. Then we have Black Family Development, trauma, which is $75,000. Wayne County Apprehension Fugitive, $50,000. Wayne County 5-day housing, $21,000. And then the pending Real Solutions Violence Prevention, $250,000. In that budget also, roughly $379,000 is designated for salaries, which keeps us under the 30% threshold. As you know, we cannot exceed 30% for salaries. That $379,000 keeps us at 26.93, which is under the threshold. The remaining monies are for contractual services, equipment, supplies, travel, training, and board expenses. If you look at the last page, I believe it basically highlights a more detailed, specifically of how we allotted the funds. Another thing is we also, we talked about it last meeting regarding our staffing. So there's still also staffing to hire someone else, in particular, someone that could fill Mr. Cadez's position that was working in the jail, which is needed. So that is included so that we can actually have more bodies to do more work. I'm gonna make sure I'm not missing any of the highlights. I think that is a basically overview of the grant application. If something comes to my mind, I'll mention it. But now, if you have any questions or concerns, you can just.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm just on that last page. I'm curious. There's nothing allotted to like education or employment zero and then sex offender zero. Is that a reason for that? Is there a reason for that? The last page. There's no additional funding requested for it.
Okay, I see education, employment.
Yeah, then sex offender.
sex.
There's no funding requested for it.
Okay. I might have to defer to Ms. McCann for that help on that one. She is present. She's going to come to the mic.
Ebony, yeah, come on to the table. You can come any place. You gotta be heard on this one.
Good afternoon, Ebony McCann, Transition Services Division Director. So no, we in years past have not provided programming for sex offenders specifically and or education and employment services. The violence prevention curriculum does have a component for education and employment, but that's absolutely something that this body can discuss, whether or not a sex offender curriculum or an education program is something that is necessary. We did, and my apologies, I misspoke. We did in the past have the RAP program, which was a program that took place at the Detroit Reentry Center, where individuals who had been sentenced to a term of prison or who were in limbo prior to being sentenced to a term of prison were able to participate in this vocational educational curriculum that took place at the Detroit Reentry Center. That was funded through the Michigan Department of Corrections. And as a result of the statistics that were developed or garnered from that program, it did not appear that it was effective to have that curriculum in that particular facility. And as a result, it ceased, as well as the Detroit Detention or Detroit Reentry Center closed. But it's absolutely something that we can look into. I think that in the plan, Mr. Thomas referenced leveraging education and employment vendors throughout the community. So like Goodwill Industries, Detroit at Work. I believe they have a program at the jail right now. And so this provides us with the opportunity to leverage those already community-based curriculums that are focused on education and employment. But I think that as a body, you can review and determine whether or not this is something you want to provide specifically. I know Operation Get Down in the past provided housing for individuals with who were registered sex offenders. But not necessarily a curriculum per se, but that's absolutely something that I think Mr. Thomas and his team can look into.
Gotcha.
Yes.
One quick question under, subtotal, there's a category called other, is $338,000 allotted to it. What is other?
Is that the salaries?
Through the co-chair, Ebony McCann. The other subcategory is the total of the program allocated for Z00. So that is adult fugitive apprehension, the violence prevention curriculum. It's listed in the application as other. That's the designation in the application. And so that's just the total of those programs listed under that particular line item.
I would also like to add something too. One of the things that we're working with and considering is partnership is really critical, and that's one of the things I've been trying to meet with our vendors and different things and expand. And one of the partnerships that we want to develop is someone who's good at when you're talking about literacy. So that's one of the things we're looking at, because we know literacy and crime go hand in hand. And that may be something that may not be funded, but we can develop a partnership with somebody to actually be able to do referrals. So I just wanted you all to, so when you're talking about education, that's one of the things that we're looking at. Any more questions? Comments? No, I will entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 grant application. It's been properly moved in second to approve the fiscal year 2026 grant application. Are there any further discussion? Is there
Apologies, who second? Thank you.
any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nay. It has been approved. Motion and approved the fiscal year 2026 grant application.
We're moving on to item F. Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the board.
We already talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that.
My bad.
Yeah, I did it early. Public comments?
Yeah, Chief Dunlap, for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, present.
Octavia, any public comment?
No, there's no one on Zoom wishing to make a public comment.
No public comments. Before I request a motion to adjourn, again, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to come so that we can meet this deadline for the grant application. I will make sure that I keep you informed on the process. Anything that comes up, we basically are ready to submit the application now that it's been approved by the Community Correction Advisory Board. And we're prayerfully believing that they will grant our request, what we're asking for, and we will continue to focus on utilization as well as partnership to grow our Community Corrections Advisory Board. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Been properly motioned and second. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you again.